I have lived in Embo for 21 years. I'm a known member of the Community Police Forum. I want to tell you a story about a severe flood that happened in Embo in 2022. In February of that year, I gave birth to a premature baby. After that birth, I had to spend 2 months recovering in hospital. I had been back home for about 2 weeks when the rain hit. I stayed in the house with my mom, baby, and other 2 kids. After a few days of heavy rain, everyone could finally get out. All the neighbors were outside assessing the damage. I was shocked to see that my front lawn had washed away. My left side neighbor had lost access to the main road. New baby on one hand and phone on other, photos started coming in fast. There were mudslides, no electricity, roads were closed, there was no water, bridges were destroyed, fallen trees blocked the road. There was no access. The scene was devastating. That's when I realized my problems were small compared to others. As I stood there looking at all of this, I didn't want to take it in. A neighbor came to my gate. She told me they had found a terribly injured man down the ravine and taken him to her house. He desperately needed help. Survival mode kicked in. Being confined to hospital for 2 months has been frustrating for me, and now I had the opportunity to be myself again. Finally, I was able to help my community. I jumped into action. I went with my neighbor to see her house and walked into the room where the man was lying. He was around my age, wearing only a towel that covered his lower body. He was groaning. He looked exhausted. He had been washed down the ravine in his bed and smashed into a tree that saved his life but nearly killed him. When I saw the mess he was in, I was horrified. I froze. I could not imagine how he survived. I have seen a lot, but this was overwhelming. I couldn't look. I'm a grown woman, but the only thing I could think of was to call my mom. I asked her to come and examine the injuries. She told us he was bleeding profusely and needed to go to hospital. I then called a local NGO that I work with, and they came out to assess him. They were able to get through because they had 4x4s. They advised he had to be taken to hospital. The roads were flooded and access was limited, so I drove him to the nearest clinic that was open. Other clinics had been forced to close because of the flooding. I talked to him about surroundings and not about his pain because I didn't want to make it worse. There were so many things that happened during that time that I found distressing. As a community activist, I felt that I couldn't do enough to help. There is some evidence of the disaster still visible today. The majority of the help came from the neighbors, NGOs, and churches. The provision of blankets, first aid, water, and food was essential to cover the basic needs. There was no counseling services to respond to the traumatic events. Many of the problems we face are caused by the placing of land. We need to engage with the traditional leaders to give permission to use the land. People build anywhere, even on uneven ground that can be moved by water during heavy rain. We need more clinics where we can have more community engagements to share our stories and find common ground with counsellors present. We need to build community centres so people have something to do. We need to keep busy so that we don't end up doing negative things, don't have time to be lonely or think of suicide. We need to provide more skill and support to communities to fight social ills.